name is Liz Partsch,
And I am Paul Rowley.
and welcome to Farm and Dairy's Weekly Rundown.
We will be giving you a rundown of all of the news that happened in the last week.
Oh, yeah, and there's been
Many, many items in
a
the news
lot
this
of
week.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth news.
Indeed. Yeah.
Why don't why don't you kick us off, Paul?
Would you like that? Okay.
You have the back and forth news experience this week.
It was a busy week for all of us here at Farm and Dairy, actually. I covered some of the, I guess, turmoil around SNAP benefits. And given that they were discontinued, that benefit was discontinued as of November as part of the currently ongoing, as of November 10th, when we are recording this, government shutdown. Now, I date us right now, it being that it's November 10th, because as of now, the government is still shut down, although that may be subject to change in the coming week or so. So here's just like a snapshot of the situation right now. So 8 Democratic senators joined Republicans yesterday, November 9th, like last night, in backing a plan to break the weeks-long deadlock that they are experiencing over there in Congress. The proposal would reopen the government. It would restore funding for supplemental nutrition nutrition assistance program, otherwise known as SNAP, and other programs, and guarantee back pay for furloughed workers. But it leaves out the expiring healthcare subsidies that Democrats have been fighting for and fighting to preserve as millions of people face rising insurance costs in the next year. So as part of the shutdown, SNAP benefits were not funded for the month of November. A judge ordered the Trump administration to fully fund the program. That order was released last week. But the matter has like pinball through the courts. Like if you can imagine a pinball moving through a pin, like back and forth everywhere. As of earlier yesterday, November 9th, the Trump administration ordered states actually to immediately undo any unauthorized payments. Unauthorized was their words, and as well was immediately undo payments that any states had issued for the month of November. So like call that money back. And meanwhile, in the midst of all of this, especially this uncertainty, will the shutdown end? How do we feed people as like lines outside of food banks are getting longer and people don't have money now to pay for food for feeding themselves and their families? State officials across the country have been scrambling, as you can imagine, to feed their residents, and local food banks are bracing for a continued surge in need. So I talked to some people that have been caught in the middle of all of this. The first place I went to was Canton, Ohio, actually, where Stephanie Sweeney told me that she's feeling a sense of deja vu. Stephanie runs the Stark County Hunger Task Force. And she said, I was here through COVID, meaning that she worked at the task force through COVID. She was not executive director at the time. And she said that I would kind of compare the need and the sort of desperation that people are feeling and the uncertainty that people are feeling to COVID, like COVID times and living through all of that. She watched as the shutdown led to the suspension of food assistance benefits and how that put an enormous strain on food banks everywhere and pantries, much like hers, which were already stretched thin after earlier cuts that came down again from the federal government, actually. Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, said that the state has, he let us know that the state is stepping in with a $25 million plan to help. That includes $7 million in direct aid to regional food banks, including $900,000 going to the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank, which supplies much of Stark County's food pantry. Another $18 million temporarily boosted cash assistance for more than 60,000 Ohio families, and a separate $10 million in federal funding that they managed to actually get will help keep the Women, Infants, and Children program, or WIC, running through December. So, but even with those measures having taken place, the need is very, very high, and it keeps rising, actually. The Stark County Hunger Task Force serves nearly 5,000 people a month through its on-site pantry, and they also support a network of about 35 partner pantries around the county. Its Backpack for Kids program sends about 2,000 weekend food bags to local students every week, and they're keeping on, but it's a tall order. Across the state, food banks are already working at historic levels, distributing roughly 19 million meals every month. Jory Novotny, she's the executive director of the Ohio Association of Food Banks. She told me that losing federal SNAP benefits wipes out more than $250 million in purchasing power statewide, which is the equivalent of about 74 million meals.
Wow.
And food
Wow.
banks don't have the capacity to step up and provide that number of meals. So that's like the need level, the baseline, and then so it's pretty stark. Obviously, the crisis is not just facing Ohio. You can check out the rest of my story to see a couple other little snapshots or vignettes, I guess, of what how states are responding to the situation, and then how people are feeling kind of in the middle of all of this. And then also, if you were listening, for information about where to find food assistance in your area, I just picked these sites because they are representative of our coverage area. So for Ohio, you can visit ohiofoodbanks.org. In Pennsylvania, you can visit pa-navigate.org. Or in West Virginia, you can visit wv211.org. Some sites that you can check out for getting assistance and finding some other resources that you may need as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, what a really important story for you to cover right now. And
the last 24 hours have just been update. So it's been a lot.
Those numbers are crazy too, thinking about, how many meals have been lost.
Right.
I do think through just a little side note on, SNAP and all of this and what's going on with the food banks. I really feel like through this whole few months that, or at least a few weeks that this has been ongoing, I feel like it's really just brought out a lot of good in people. I mean, that I guess you obviously, better. You write a lot about tragedies, tragedy, tragedy ends
comes
up
with
usually,
the job.
Yeah, it's tragic, but it ends up bringing out good in people.
Yeah.
I'm sure you might mention this in your story, but in Pennsylvania, I've seen Giant Eagle, the huge supermarket chain. They donated a lot of money. I think I even saw someone some big owner of the Steelers also donated a ton of money to food banks and
wow.
fresh food. So I guess that is maybe the only positive is that it does seem like there are people willing to step up that have money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Sad that, there is a need for people to have to do that. But wow, sounds like a really important story that we should all be reading. So go check out.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you got for us, Liz?
Well, Paul, I got another Veterans Day story that I wrote this week.
Excellent.
Involving an Ohio veteran who has made it his mission in life to connect veterans with medical cannabis to heal chronic pain.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So his name is Daryl Leffingwell, and his story with cannabis starts as a boy. His family cultivated and sold cannabis in Lawrence County, Ohio, back when it was illegal, both recreationally and medically.
Yeah.
So really growing up in this environment kind of took a toll on him. At first he really just detested cannabis. So he decided to join the military. So in 1991, he joined the Marine Corps and worked as an engineer. But the wear and tear of the job really left him with a lot of medical problems, leading him to be discharged from the military in 1993. And at the time, so after he was discharged, he was taking 27 different medications a day.
Wow.
Many of which were opioids to kind of mimic these chronic pain that he had, right? So, but this, Paul, is not an uncommon story amongst veterans. It's actually really common. Between 2001 and 2009, overdose deaths from non-synthetic opioids doubled for roughly 30% of veterans who use Veteran Affairs Services. That's the federal agency. Deaths continued to rise by 65% from 2010 and 2016, according to a study conducted in 2022.
Wow.
So, being overprescribed these opioids really has led, like I said, to a lot of veterans overdosing from all of these substances. So for Leffingwell, the amount of pills he was taking a serious toll on his life. He started getting depressed, and the drugs were starting to harm his liver. So after that, he really knew that he needed to find a different way to manage his chronic pain. It really, he said to me, kind of ruined his life at the time. So that's when he started turned to growing cannabis. As I said, he really did detest cannabis before this, just with all of his past and associations with it being illegal. But he turned to growing cannabis in 1994, making him a third-generation cannabis farmer, which I think is pretty interesting because you don't really hear a third-generation cannabis farmer a lot because it's not been legal for very long, right? so generations hasn't been, right?
Right.
But now, leading to today, decades later, he would found the Ohio Veterans Alliance for Medical Cannabis. That's a nonprofit organization focused on connecting or advocating and teaching veterans how to grow cannabis for pain management in the state.
Wow.
So to do this, Leffingwell regularly goes to the Ohio State House to advocate for law reform. He actually pays for cannabis medical cards through the association, the nonprofit he works for.
Cool.
So if veterans can, get a med card.
Yeah.
And then he goes to cannabis events in Ohio regularly to kind of reach out to veterans, kind of teach them and give them the first steps to growing cannabis.
Wow.
So that's actually how Leffingwell met Mike England. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran. And England has a pretty similar story to Leffingwell. He was taking 14 medications a day prescribed by the Veterans Affairs Agency to manage his chronic conditions, which included degenerative bone disease, skin cancer, and a whole lot of other
Wow.
chronic conditions that he has to deal with every
Yeah.
day. But when he left Leffingwell and started growing his own cannabis, he said it was really just a great game changer for his health completely. He told me, I just took my grandchildren to Tennessee. We went to Dollywood, and I was able to push the 1-year-old in a stroller all day and do things I couldn't have done a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
So to me, that was really heartwarming
Yeah.
to hear him say, how much it has changed his life just from going from 14 medications to like cannabis, right?
Right.
But despite all these benefits that these guys have experienced, there has been some challenges, in advocating for medical cannabis for veterans, as you might know, because it is pretty stigmatized. And, there is a lot of people that may not support it or may not understand it. And there's some people that, love it. So there has been challenges with that. But to read more about those challenges and really just the full story, because I think this Leffingwell, he just has Daryl has a really incredible story, I think. So you can go to farmandairy.com to read this or pick up your paper. And read more about the Ohio Veterans Alliance for Medical Cannabis.
Yeah. That sounds fascinating. I'll have to check that out too.
Yeah.
Sounds really cool. Well, awesome. Okay. I know we wanted to, well, I can just talk about what's next, I guess, in the paper on my end.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go in here. So I actually really wanted to talk about this column. This is a column in our farm and dairy section of the paper, mostly because I just thought that it was such a powerful, I guess, companion almost to the article about food banks and SNAP and hunger and such that I wrote for the paper this week. So this actually comes from the Farm and Food File, which is a weekly column written by Alan Gubert. And it was just a really moving piece. So he writes, this is basically his premise is that if you've ever truly felt hunger, and not like the kind that makes you raid the fridge at midnight, like the kind that I experienced in my life because I'm very privileged, if you've ever truly felt hunger, then you would never condemn the hungry. That's kind of how he starts his piece. And he remembers in this piece his mother, a woman who was born, as he describes it, into poverty, dirt, and hunger on a tenant farm in east central Nebraska in April of 1932. And he describes like dust clouds swallowing farms and every day being a struggle just to eat. And apparently his mother told her son once, Alan, that they ate flour pancakes most days and not much else. A couple of years on, they lost the farm and had to sell everything except for her father's team of horses. And they basically started over with nothing. And the experience was just incredibly, I guess I would say that it marked her and affected her throughout the rest of her life. While she survived the Great Depression, the scars, as Alan describes, never really healed for her. And she had a lot of like unhealthy coping techniques. Her son said, Alan said that she rarely spoke of Nebraska, maybe almost because like remembering it meant reliving it in a sense. But then one day, like late in her life, I think she was about the age of 86 when she had this sort of breakthrough moment where she just, without kind of any warning, told him something that she'd never talked about before. And that revelation was that she said that she hated being hungry. It wasn't my fault. And I think you have to read the column because you'll really get a sense of what that meant for her and then in practice kind of as well. And it was just a really moving piece and obviously very, very timely given all of the news about hunger right now and the demand at food banks and the SNAP benefits and everything going on. So definitely worthwhile and a really powerful column from Alan Gubert this week. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't it crazy how you can like associate a bad experience with the
Yeah.
place, you know?
Yeah.
And even though that place has changed or like,
Right.
you know, it is, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds like a very moving column.
Yeah.
Great. Well, on the front of auction this week, we have a lovely infographic.
Do we?
Yes. And it's about the Ohio Soil Health Week,
Oh.
which is observed from November 9th through 15th. So this week,
Alright.
guys.
Yeah.
So this week is made possible by the new Agriculture Appreciation Act with the goal of shining a light on soil health.
Oh.
Yeah. And it also celebrates Ohio farmer and soil champion David Brandett,
Oh, okay.
which most people probably know his name. So the infographic includes fun soil facts. For example, healthy soils can store up to 2,000 gallons of water per acre, helping crops
Wow.
weather droughts, which that's crazy to hear, especially since we just went through a drought. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like good to know, right? It also contains facts about, you know, how what you do to your soil can impact it in the long term. Another example, you know, traditional tilling can harm, you know, the beneficial microbes and break down the soil's natural system. So instead, farmers should look into healthy soil, not disturbing their healthy soils as little as possible, and growing a mix of plants year-round to kind of feed the soil through its roots.
Oh, cool.
So to learn more about all these facts, you can, you can go and check out the infographic. It's on the front of auction this week. And yeah, I guess catch up on your soil knowledge.
Yeah.
So
And David was a meme, I believe.
he might have been.
He had the catchphrase, "It ain't much, but it's honest work."
Yeah.
And that was a meme for several years, and still kind of is out there. David is no longer with us. I don't.
I think he just
yeah.
passed recently.
Recently,
I think
yeah.
it was last year or
Yeah.
maybe earlier this
It
year.
was a tragic car accident, I think.
man,
But
that's sad.
but his certainly his memory lives on in more ways than one.
Yeah,
So
and it's living on in our paper.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
check out check out auction this week.
most
So
definitely. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, is it time?
Yes.
I think it's time.
I think it's time.
Let's go. What button is it? I forget.
I think take your pick, honestly.
Okay.
Are
Was
you
it-
looking for the theme song?
Yeah, the theme song.
It might be
button.
that one by your hand. That one. Yeah. Okay, maybe the other one.
Okay.
That's also a good one to kick off our
Wait,
segment time.
Oh yeah.
Segway.
Okay.
That's fine.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a good
when
time.
that beat comes in,
Yeah,
wow, what
yeah.
a great song.
It is a
I
good
don't
song.
even know.
Yeah, we're like loaded up with all kinds of fun sounds here.
Right?
in
Love
the
it.
pod. Yeah.
Anyway, what should we talk about this week? Well, yeah, okay. So seasonal depression
That's
is a
right.
real thing.
Welcome
we all
back.
know it. Welcome
Yeah.
to seasonal depression, everyone.
Mhm.
Daylight savings is here. Paul and I spent at least a good half hour earlier talking about how much we hate
it.
and driving home in pitch black.
Yeah, it's really not nice. Yeah.
But, you know, what comes with
Mhm.
seasonal depression is often blankets
Yeah.
and couch potatoes,
Yeah.
which I couch potato a lot during
Mhm.
this time.
Same.
So, what are you putting on? What cozy movie are you putting on when you couch potato?
So let me think. I will actually have to say this is a strange couch potato recommendation movie. But so I play multiple I play a lot of video games. I have a PlayStation 5. And one of the I guess the game franchises that I return to a lot is Resident Evil, which is about an evil multinational corporation that is the center of a lot of incidents involving like I don't know, biological research and espionage, and there's all these different layers and levels of intrigue and stuff. But anyway, they have tried very often to adapt these movies or these games to movies, and they've had varying levels of success in doing that. But there was one adaptation that came out just a couple of years ago, and it's called Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. And the way that it's like made like a real like it's kind of a love letter to like 90s B movies.
Mhm.
And the way that it's like it's really cheesy and it's like kind of funny, and like these people are in this city and the water has been contaminated, and so all of these people are like becoming zombies. And it doesn't sound relaxing in the slightest.
I will say this is like not.
It's not. It sounds.
First of all, you
horrifying.
talked about corporations, and I was like, oh, so
Right.
you watch stuff real life.
Right.
That sounds like real life.
Right. Yes. It takes inspirations, I think, certainly from bad actors and throughout history. But there's something that's just so charming about it and like silly and it's funny, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's almost like a nostalgia watch at this point. Like it's just, it only came out a couple years ago, but it's so fun. And it's just like, and it's really bad. Like it has like, I don't know what its score on Rotten Tomatoes is. It's abysmal. It's not a good movie.
See, sometimes
but
like the worst movies are the best.
That's it.
Because they're so bad, they're funny.
Yeah. It's just a really good one. And honestly, the Mila Jovovich led Resident Evil movies are pretty good, but the first one especially is like, I don't know why that received such negative reviews, but it is just genuinely a really good movie. I'm sorry, I'm just not even apologizing for it. But I'm not much of like a cinema snob, but yeah, the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, for some reason, just charming and fun and kind of very strange, but yeah, just a good time. So yeah, that's my cozy. Yeah. That's my watching in my house.
I don't know if that would be my cozy.
No, of course not. You're probably not most people's, but
yeah. Man, how fun.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What is yours?
Well, I immediately what came to mind is The Mummy.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know. If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm. Which might get a sequel.
That's what I'm saying. They just announced that. Like I saw that post about it yesterday that they
returning cast,
which is crazy because Brendan Fraser? Yeah, he like dipped off the face of the earth for a while. I think he was like canceled by Hollywood, and now he's like back, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, something about that movie, I just remember being obsessed with it as a kid.
Yeah.
I think part of it, the reason is because I was also obsessed with Egyptian history. I feel like everyone goes through a phase where like Egypt is like the coolest thing.
Do you have that book that was like that had all like the
all the pharaohs?
Right.
Yeah. No, I remember like just being obsessed with like Cleopatra and checking out books from her at the library.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always obsessed with Egypt as a kid, and that one in particular, I just loved the first movie. It was such a good comfort watch because, I don't know, beside both of the characters being like great, the brother, by the way, like he's hilarious. So the whole thing is hilarious.
They have great chemistry. Like the
cast, the actors have really great chemistry.
Rachel Weisz is so talented.
Right?
Yeah.
And then even like the sequels aren't bad either. Like I actually staunchly love the brother because he really brings out the laughs in them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that has always been my comfort watch, even as a kid, like especially because I think it's on TV a lot. They rerun it a lot, which, so that is definitely one of them. The other one I would think, and I feel like this is later in life, this has become more of my comfort show, is the Harry Potters.
Yeah.
I think that's a common one for everybody.
Yeah.
But especially around this time of the year, you know, like, I don't know, something about the Harry Potters, they're always just like so fun. And I don't know, and the lines, you know, Ron.
What's the squinched or what is it?
No, Ron, you can't.
That's funny. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if that's the best Hermione impression, but
that was a good one.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, that's a really good one. I think that's a classic.
Yeah.
But yeah. So mine are wildly different from your comfort. But anyway, well, that ends our segment today. Take a break.
Yeah, that was fun.
Boom.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like we could just dance to this on camera. Like, I honestly do kind of want to hear the full song because I don't think we've like just.
We heard it only like at the beginning initial stages was like, bah, bah, bah.
Yeah.
And that's how we heard it for like months, and we just didn't like play the rest of the song. So like the saxophone and like all of the other like crescendo of instruments was like genuinely surprising to both of us.
I will say, we literally got our reaction on live, like last pod.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea that it got that vibey. Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Paul, what news do you have for us now?
Well, I'm actually going to take us to the rural section of the paper, which I feel like I don't take us there often, but
usually with Jim Abrams.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true.
But,
But yeah, so I actually wrote something for the rural section this time. So I was lucky enough to attend a water security conference. And let me explain to you what that is. So, how much clean water does it really take to keep our communities healthy, our ecosystems thriving, and our economies strong? And maybe the bigger question: how do we protect that water when it is under pressure, both from nature and also from ourselves, like human beings? So I wrote about this water security conference that I attended. Water security in the Great Lakes region is a topic that brought together scientists, lawyers, policymakers at the conference. It was hosted virtually by the University of Toledo. So the Great Lakes holds about 20% of the world's fresh surface water and supply drinking water to more than 8 million people actually in this region, which is quite a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
people. As Michael Taboris, a water policy analyst, told conference attendees, water security is not to be taken for granted. He said that it is the ability of a population to meet all of its health, social, and economic needs with the water that's available and of acceptable quality, which sounds pretty simple until you consider that the region's infrastructure, and this is something that he honed in on, was built for pretty much a different climate. Snowy winters, not like the heavy spring and fall rainstorms that we're seeing a lot of times today. Those storms often wash nutrients off of farm fields into nearby rivers and lakes, fueling flooding, pollution, and harmful algal blooms, which you've heard me prawn on about, no doubt. And while efforts are underway to fix these, constellations of problems, Taboris called the pace of progress structurally inadequate. His point, if we he said that if we know an approach isn't working, even if we're taking it incrementally, that it's difficult and we really shouldn't be calling it progress. So amid all of the challenges, though, there are bright spots, like right here in Ohio, where wetlands are kind of becoming, I would say, almost maybe like quiet heroes of water quality.
Love
Um,
that.
yes, Lauren Kinsman Costello, a wetland ecologist at Kent State University. I've had the privilege of talking to her in the past. She's a very, very smart lady. And she shared how Ohio's H2 Ohio wetlands program is coming up with some pretty big results. They've been studying the effectiveness of wetlands, and she explained how they can trap and filter out the nutrients that cause those harmful algal blooms in the lake. And these wetlands are actually performing far better than their size would suggest. Even like if they're pretty small, they're actually still able to pack quite a punch and hold back all of these nutrients. One standout example that she mentioned is actually called the Williamsburg Wetland Treatment System, and it's in southern Ohio. I believe it's actually in Williamsburg, Ohio. It's a former reservoir that now acts kind of like as a living filter for the land and for like water runoff. And it's just really, really, it's like extra like reservoir level deep so that it has like a lot of capacity. So like all of the water that like washes into it, like it's running through this kind of like living channel of like plant life and stuff. And so that is like stripping all of the water of all of the things that cause problems down the line, which is like really cool. Of course, extreme weather like droughts and floods can test systems like this, like water, like wetlands. With smart management and good data, though, Kinsman Costello told me wetlands can keep delivering results. And she said that continuous monitoring makes sure that we catch problems before they turn into like toxic blooms downstream. Um, and so early reports also suggest so we actually the government shutdown has affected like we haven't gotten the official like all clear it's the end of the harmful algal bloom season from NOAA because they are not open right now. But early reports, I did reach out to the Ohio EPA to if they could help me characterize what this harmful algal bloom season looked like. And they said that the 2025 algal bloom season was mild to moderate, according to what they can tell or see, which is pretty much right in line with what they predicted for this season. Cooler June temperatures and average rainfall kind of helped keep things a little bit clearer than, some of like the more memorable years when we've had really like severe harmful algal blooms. But experts believe, like Laura, who I talked to, that restoration efforts, including wetlands, are starting to pay off. And hopefully they do because when water systems fail, as I learned at this conference, food systems and livelihoods also fall with them.
Yeah.
So,
The trickle effect.
indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds like a really informative, like, conference that you
I
attended. Yeah.
tried. Yeah. But also it was
Awesome.
definitely a cool
Yeah.
conference. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, it's no secret that I love bees. I feel like I've made it pretty clear
Yeah.
here at Farm and Dairy.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
I also unpurposefully, completely by accident,
Mm.
wore my bee earrings to
Oh,
work
fun.
today,
Nice.
not knowing that I was going to be talking about a bee story.
Cool.
But yes, and there's another bee story in the Farm and Dairy because we will never stop talking about them.
We shouldn't.
Exactly. So this week in our rural marketplace section, Franny Lazarus? Yeah, from Ohio State University wrote about the work the Ohio Biodiversity Conservation Partnership is conducting to determine the amount of bee species in the state.
Nice.
So it's called the Ohio Bee Survey. That's the project.
Cool.
And it's entering its 5th year of data collection. However, the Ohio Biodiversity Conservation Partnership was actually founded in 2010 at OSU. So it's been kind of that partnership at least has been running for a while.
Okay.
So today more than I think it was like 330 species of bees have been collected. Let me just check that.
Yeah.
Because I have it here wrong. Anyways, but it's been like hundreds of bee species that have been basically identified.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's been really cool. They've been kind of collecting. And how it works, is that they collect data from for the bee surveys by trapping bees in a passive water trap.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not really sure exactly how that looks like, so you probably have to look up how that works. But you also may ask, why is it important that we know how many bee species are actually in the state? Well, before this, there wasn't really a good picture for how many bee species were in Ohio. Okay. A lot of the estimates were based on neighboring states. Oh. So I think this is like the way that they're trying to estimate that. Cool. So in addition to getting an accurate count on Ohio bee species, insects also get trapped in these water traps, which is actually nice because it's been giving researchers valuable updates, including, a count on the state's hoverfly species. Oh. So it's had also benefits for other insects as well. So that's been pretty cool. So if you want to read more about the work that OSU is doing with the bee survey, you can check out the paper.
It sounds rad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I love the bees.
Me too. I love bees. I wish I could show everybody my bee earrings, but frankly, no one would see unless I get close to the camera.
Oh, sad. Yeah.
It seems, not worth it. Anyway, you can imagine. So, well, that is our top stories for the week, guys.
Indeed. And to read more, you know the drill. Head on over to farmanddairy.com or find your local newsstand.
And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye for now.